Dear family, in April 2015, Jerry Patchen and I were on a river cruise touring the rivers of France. Normandy was part of our itinerary. We were taken on a bus tour with stops along the beaches of the Normandy coast. We spent the rest of the day walking the Normandy Cemetery and Memorial. And all the while, the story kept unfolding as we felt and visualized all that went on there. While at the Normandy Memorial, the U.S. military presented a beautiful ceremony, laying a wreath, while the military band played taps. That was the moment that I was swept with emotion for all who fought in wars throughout the world. I then realized that there were many members of our family who had been in the military. I realized that their stories had not been told. I began to think of each and imagine the many ways to interview and research their stories. In talking to Nellie Martin a few weeks later, I told her of my thoughts and feelings about our close relatives in the military. Nellie was inspired to do a video interview of Uncle Omar. Nellie has carried the torch of this endeavor and has continued with this path. She contacted many of us to get as much information of our loved ones as possible to put in a video for all to share. Thank you, Nellie, for all you have done toward this beautiful memorial treasure of our family military history. Enjoy.
Thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Valdemar Lino Garza enlisted in the United States Navy on February the 11th, 1941, and was honorably discharged on February 10th, 1947. He was stationed in San Diego, Great Lakes, Illinois, Bethesda, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Norfolk, also Palermo, Sicily, Oran, Algeria, and Jacksonville, Florida, and Corpus Christi. He served in the North Atlantic, the Mediterranean, and the Pacific aboard the destroyer escorts USS Cooner, USS Selstrom, and USS Robert. Somewhere in all this, he was aboard the USS LST 332. He achieved the rank of Chief Pharmacist Mate. On July 18, 1945, he was initiated and installed as a member of the Sacred Order of the Golden Dragon aboard the USS Cooner. Ask a sailor if you don't know what that is. Destroyer escorts were 20-knot warships designed to escort mid-ocean convoys of merchant marine ships and to throw themselves between submarines and whatever they were escorting. In the Atlantic, they went north to avoid submarines, but had to watch out for icebergs. Sailors on destroyers and destroyer escorts, which are smaller than destroyers, called themselves tin can sailors. You can imagine why.
I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun but I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and
there'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover tomorrow. Just you wait and see. There'll be love and laughter and peace ever after tomorrow, when the world is free. The shepherd will tend his sheep, the valley will bloom again, and Jimmy will go to sleep in his own little room again. There'll be bluebirds over the white cliffs of Dover.
Jerry's great-grandfather, Charles Stoddard Patchen, fought in the Civil War. An important Patchen family treasure is his Civil War diary, where he details his daily thoughts while he was in the middle of combat. Thank you, Charles Stoddard Patchen, for your service to our country. Patchen's father, Freeman, served in World War II as a radio sergeant for the 57th Field Artillery. As they stormed the beaches of Guam and Leyte in the Philippines, Freeman would go first with his heavy radio equipment and transmit the positions for where the United States airplanes would attack. He received a Bronze Star Medal. We thank Freeman, and we're proud of Freeman for his service and dedication to our country. Patchen, Jerry Patchen's mother, served in the United States Women's Air Force in order to help with the war effort. She was an airplane mechanic. Thank you, Catherine. That was very helpful for our troops. We're proud of your service. With love, thank you.
We'll follow the old man wherever he wants to go, long as he wants to go, opposite to the foe. We'll stay with the old man wherever he wants to stay, long as he stays away from the battle spray. Because we love him, especially when he keeps us on the ball. And we'll tell the kiddies we answer duty's call, with the grandest son of a soldier of them all. Attention. Gee, I wish I was back in the army. The army wasn't really bad at all. That's right. Pep, 3 meals a day, for which you didn't pay. Hey, uniforms for winter, spring, and fall. There's a lot to be said for the army.
Tata was never one to focus on the negative in life. He always brought us back to thinking of happy times and memories. And that rang true even when we asked him about the war. One of the stories that he did share with us was, of course, a happy story. It was about how he was waiting for mail. They brought the mail to all the boys, and they said, "We have one for you, Garza, we have one for you." So he went up to go grab it, and then he went back to all of his brothers and opened it. And he learned that his mom just gave birth to his baby brother, Uncle Marin, and how he and all of his brothers just wanted to celebrate, the bringing of life to the world. Even in the awful times of war, even when it was hard, it was nice for him to always focus on the positives.
Hey, hey, the wags who dressed in slacks, dancing cheek to cheek and pants to pants. There's a lot to be said for the army. The best of doctors watched you carefully. A dentist and a clerk, for weeks and weeks they'd work. They'd make $1,000 job and give it to a jerk. Oh, gee, I wish I was back in the army. 3 meals a day for which you didn't pay. I thought that I was through with all my care and strife, but after months and months of tough civilian life, oh gee, I wish I was back in the army now.
Over hill, over dale, we have hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. Counter march right about, hear those wagon soldiers.
Sister Guerra told me that when she couldn't find Theonetha's military picture, she heard a small voice in her heart. It was Anofita telling her what cabinet to look in. Sure enough, it was there.
Behind Dad's quiet demeanor was a courageous soldier that served our country with honor and pride. He didn't share much about the war until late in his life. He once told me about several missions during the dark of night delivering artillery to the front lines after the attack at Normandy. We thank Dad for his service to our country.
Joe Collins served in a very important battle in the Pacific and was the driver of the Higgins boats, which were involved in the amphibious landing of soldiers on the island of Tawara. This secured the critical airstrip early in the Pacific War. Joe is Dora's stepdad and the Garzas' step-grandfather. He was brave in driving these boats and allowed the men to get close to the ground. This was one of the most fiercely fought battles in the Pacific. There were heavy casualties on both sides.
Our knowledge of our father's service is very limited. However, he shared bits and pieces of information from time to time. He spoke of sleeping in foxholes, foregoing baths, and being wounded by shrapnel. In addition, he shared about the time his father and mother received a telegram that said he had contracted spinal meningitis while serving in Japan. He was so near death that he was not expected to live. He spoke of his experience in Iwo Jima only twice. Dad told us of 2 waves that invaded the beach. The first wave involved killing, but it was the second wave that was most horrifying. He arrived on the island at night by ship and rushed onto land, noticing the foul stench. When daylight came, his eyes beheld the source of the unbearable smell. It was a sea of dead bodies, his fellow soldiers that had preceded him. Dad, your son and daughter thank you for your sacrificial service to the United States of America. In the face of great adversity, your commitment and dedication to freedom for all will forever resound in our hearts.
Nellie Garza Martin's uncle Mike Martin fought in World War II, where he was a scout fighting against the Japanese in the jungles. Mike was colorblind, and because of this, they made him a scout, and he was involved in some of the fiercest fighting in World War II. After the success in the Philippines, the Allies prepared for an invasion of Japan, and it was expected that Mike would be in the first wave, and 100% casualties were predicted. The atomic bomb was dropped instead, which saved not only Mike's life, but also his 12 kids, his 41 grandchildren, and 14 great-grandchildren, who were all very happy that the atomic bomb was dropped. Mike's great-great-uncle, Tom Martin, immigrated from Ireland and fought in the Civil War for the Union, where he also served as a scout. In fact, the history books document well that Tom Martin was sent after Wild Bill Hickok when Wild Bill deserted from his regiment, and Tom captured him and brought him back. The only surviving picture of Tom Martin is this gravestone that is near the family's homestead land in Kansas.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is working.
When his country came calling during the Korean War, a young, love-struck Omar Chapa Garza put love and life on hold for 2 years, serving in the Navy. The work ethic instilled in him from his father, Leoncio, was put to good use, helping him rise to become a medic. He liked to box in his spare time while he was there. His wartime service springboarded him to a life of medicine and saving lives for over 30 years.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Righteous sentence in the dim and flaring lamps.
All my love, Dora.
Dear Jesus, thank you for protecting great-great-grandpa during the war. You protect his relatives who had them in the palm of your hand. Amen.
She walked to the mailbox on that bright summer's day, found a letter from her son in a war far away. He spoke of the weather and good friends that he'd made. Said, I've been thinking about Dad and the life that he had. That's why I'm here today. And then in the end he said, you are what I'm fighting for. It was the first of his letters from war. She started writing, you're good and you're brave. What a father that you'll be someday. Make it home, make it safe. She wrote every night as she prayed.
This is the flight bag that holds all the letters and cards and items from Vietnam that Gary saved. And these are letters and cards from me to Gary and from Gary to me, and also letters from our parents and friends to Gary while he was in Vietnam. This was in 1968 through 69. And he was a helicopter pilot. And he only flew generals, so he was thankfully pretty safe doing that. The flag in the background is the flag that was given to my mom, Chabelita, when my father, Bernardo Trevino, Barney, died in December 15th of 1951. Although he was not killed in the war, thank God, he was a veteran of World War II, served in France and maybe England. And so he was a veteran, and therefore he had a military funeral.
To the ground, and down stepped a captain where her boy used to stand. He said, Mom, I'm following orders from all of your letters, and I've come home again. He ran into Holder, dropped all his bags on the floor, holding all of her letters from war.
When I was very young, World War II was going on, and my older brothers BL and Oscar were serving in the military. BL in the Navy, Oscar in the Army. Mom bought me a Navy and an Army military uniform, as I wanted to be just like my brothers. After medical school, I joined the Texas National Guard serving in the Medical Corps. I ran a battalion aid station for soldiers that were injured during training and eventually became battalion commander for a medical unit. We prepared to serve the community in case of disasters such as flooding, hurricanes, and riots. I enjoyed my 20 years in the military, but the accolades should go to soldiers that went to war, such as my brother Marin, who was in Desert Storm, and thank God he came back unharmed.
in love, they say.
Hi, I'm Uncle Marin Garza, and I'm the youngest of the 10 children that Leonzo and Nelly had. I was in the military for 28 years. I was in the Texas National Guard and performed as a doctor. I was there and became a colonel and became the commander of the medical portion of the Texas National Guard. It was nice in that I was able to go to Washington once or twice a year for the meetings with the other commanders from the 50 other states. And anyway, I'm a veteran because I went to the war in 1991, which was the Gulf War, the Desert Storm. I was there for about 3.5 months. The war never really got started, but I was in Kuwait. I was in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, and served small portions in the deserts between Riyadh and Iraq. It was quite an experience. I learned a lot, I got to see a lot, and I grew. Anyway, I came back home, and I've enjoyed my retirement, and was proud to have been a part of the military. And I have this picture where I'm being pinned as a colonel. Peggy was there to pin me along with the general. The general was a son of one of the Tuskegee Airmen, and he himself was a pilot in Vietnam. He ended up being a 3-star general in Washington, D.C.
To be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.
On the day that Marin got back from Saudi Arabia, the kids and I took off and went to San Antonio to meet his plane. And what just a wonderful experience, because everybody was in red, white, and blue, and with flags and crying, and everybody from babies to grandmas and grandpas there to greet their loved ones. And it was just so wonderful. Some of Marin's family went also, and it was just beautiful. We stayed that night in San Antonio. We drove home the next day, and as we turned onto John Street, where our home was, John Street was literally lined with people that were there to welcome Marin back home. And it was just really awe-inspiring. They all had signs, and it was just wonderful. And he felt so special and so loved. And it was just the best of times. It was so wonderful. And everybody was just so glad to see him and just there to celebrate him.
Who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the
In 2017, my son, Brian Daniel Garza, enlisted in the United States Navy. He was 19 years old when he enlisted and wanted to serve in the Navy just as his grandfather, Omar Chapa Garza, did. Currently, April 2018, he is stationed in Charleston, South Carolina, studying in the Thermonuclear Propulsion Program. Son, as a family and as a nation, we thank you for everything that you do, son. And as it says in 1 Corinthians 16:14, do everything in love.
Grandpa Leonzo and Grandma Nellie would be so proud of their sons and daughters. It's been an honor